sometimes you gotta go through some things to understand that it doesn't matter what you do, right or wrong. There's always going to be people out there who either don't like you, don't accept you, don't agree with what you're doing, or you can have a handful of people who look up to you, admire you, and are pushing and pulling for you. So, you know, it goes. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody is having a lovely day. I woke up to it being gloomy and rainy this morning, but I got a little bit of daylight where I'm set up, so I'm kind of pumped. I have a whole new setup in my room. It's a whole vibe, and I'm looking forward to making videos like this. So a little bit of recap. The video that I made last week was actually a really drawn out, like hour and 20-minute video, but when I started to edit it, I noticed how active spirit was in the very beginning, so I had to edit just that part of the video out and create a video within itself. And like, I love confirmation like that for any of you all who like doubt the, you know, workings of the spirit world. And no, they weren't bugs flying around me. Those were definitely spirits and angels floating all around me. And because my friend had just passed away, I'm pretty confident that that was like him with me just trying to show out. After I was watching it, I was kind of freaked out around the, like, you know, little lines that were going around me. And if anybody knows what an Irish river dance looks like, look that up. It didn't occur to me until after the fact that, like, he was all about, like, the Irish culture. I don't know if he had Irish heritage, but if he does, he was definitely up there river dancing with his elders. And I just wanted to add that because it's, like, cracks me up. But yeah, so I've noticed that the videos that I've been making, I haven't been the best structured as I want to be. So, it actually teaches me on how I want the next video to go. So even though I recorded a really long drawn out video last week of spiritual abilities, I just told myself I was going to record a whole new one and make it short, brief, and to the point, and not so much in depth, and I'll save that for other, you know, future videos. So
it's understood, and it's still all good. And if you don't know, now you know, nigga.
You know very well who you are. Don't let them hold you down. Reach for the stars. You have to go when nothing remains. 'Cause you're the only one. I'll give you good infinite.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this. 50-inch screen.
this video is going to be about like the spiritual traits and characteristics that I have experienced throughout the years, and what makes me confident in knowing that I have the capabilities to be able to connect with the spirit world. So without going into like too much detail, like I said, I'll save that for another video. I'm just going to pretty much just say what my gifts are at this moment, and then I'll probably add like a little few, I don't know, reasons on why I believe that what they are, and then we'll just discuss further into other videos, because I feel like that the longer the video, the less interested you all become. And yeah, so that's just me. About some years ago, I started picking up on dark and light energies. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't know what it was that I was experiencing. There's only probably been about 2 or 3 times in the past 15 years that I have felt specific symptoms through my body, which I will probably discuss about ascension and energy vibes, all of that in a whole different video. But I have been really susceptible to people's energies for a really long time. It's been a challenge for me to be able to balance out my own energies and separate them from the energies that I have absorbed from other people. I am what they call an empath, where I can, absorb people's sadness, their joy, their depression, their worrisome ways. Like, I can feel that and I pick it up and I absorb it. It's almost like I refresh and heal whatever that person's going through and set them up for a clean slate. And then I end up spending the next 2 or 3 days recouping, sleeping. My moods, are all unbalanced and stuff. So it has been a challenge to be able to deal with that, because I've had to learn what it was, first and foremost, what it was that I was dealing with. And then secondly, in order to work on it enough to know that I'm confident with going around people again with not getting brought down. So, being an empath is pretty common nowadays. I think that's why a lot of people are starting to look into like energy work and how that functions for each individual, because it gets very overwhelming to know that you're just trying to live your day-to-day life, and yet you don't understand why you're feeling certain types of ways, or why your moods are all over the place, or why you feel like all of a sudden you just want to sleep throughout the day. I was diagnosed with depression at a very young age, and sometimes, it was very hard to explain to people what I was feeling and expressing. I've been through enough obstacles in my life that have, pretty much like put me down into a place that is really hard to come up out of, which is why I have sought therapy before, and I have, I have created vlogs in order for me to balance out those emotions that I'm feeling. Now, I'm not saying that every emotion I feel is somebody else's. Like, no, because I definitely know the difference between the two. And I have also been in a period of isolation for, long lengths of time to know that what is mine and what is somebody else's. And that's something that in the past few years I've definitely worked on, is being able to discern the difference between mine and somebody else's. I keep getting all these interruptions. So what I was going to say was, given the fact that I have been, most of my childhood I was in an unhealthy household, looking back on it now as an adult and understanding that, these specific traits that I've had throughout the years, and knowing that I was an empath, and I don't really know at what point in time my life actually, pulled into that ability. But it's possible that my depression started because I had absorbed everybody else's energy around me, the toxicity, the abuse, the violence, the negativity, the sadness, the stress, all of that. Like, because my dad, he suffered from depression for a really long time, like he always has. And then I think about like the people that I lived with, had their own struggles and suffering that they were going through in their own personal lives. And, me being a young child, not really understanding the aspect and the core of what was going on, outside of my life. It's possible that that's where my depression started, was because I was picking on to everybody else's energy around me. Now, that is a whole different matter within itself, opposed to the childhood trauma that I experienced myself. Like, those things are real. The videos that I've talked about where, my childhood wounds, like, those are real. This is something completely different. This is just where it's been a struggle for me to balance out my own energies within myself, because I am picking up on others. Now, I've always been the person that everybody comes to in order to feel some type of consultation, some type of peace, some type of inspiration. I've never had that in return. So it's almost like I would take it from everybody else, and willingly, like, because that's just who I am. That's in my nature. I don't mind it. But it's like I didn't have somebody like that in return. So therefore I was holding it all in until my body, until my mind just let it go however it was supposed to go. Thankfully, I was able to work on myself enough in order to understand that that's what I was going through. So, yes, so I'm very sensitive to people's energies. Just recently I started looking into crystal healing. So if y'all ever see me wearing bracelets now, all of a sudden that's why. It's because I feel like, even though there's dark and light in all of us, sometimes people's energies aren't the lightest and they're really heavy. And that's the type of stuff, like, I don't even have to be speaking to anybody. I can just walk next to somebody and I can pick up their vibe. And sometimes it can throw me off of my path or throw me off on my day. I'll start feeling like anxious for no reason and I don't even know why. It's normally because I've went around somebody or I've went in an environment where the vibe was uneasy. So I've been doing crystal healing. It's been working for me. I've also looked into, meditation and prayer again, just to help me balance out what it is I'm supposed to feel. I also want to say, now with me being an empath and me being able to sense just emotions in general, I can also pick up the intentions of people as well. Like, my body starts to react in a way that notifies me that, hey, this is something you need to be cautious of. Been probably about 2 or 3 times where I've actually been around somebody who was lifeless, had no soul, that was very dark-minded, and it gave me a instant migraine. It gave me, I was ill, I was sick to my stomach, my body just kind of gave in on me, and it was like as soon as I went around that person, I started to feel these things. Now, this was a complete stranger. This started whenever I was working at Walmart some years ago, and I was having a decent day, a good night, and I walked past this old man, and he looked at me, and I actually got a visual of just a disturbing, I'm not even going to go there, but it was just very disturbing, and it freaked me out, and I went into the break room trying to understand what it was I was feeling, and then, I let some minutes pass, and then I didn't feel it no more. Well, then it was probably a couple weeks later, I was walking through the aisles, and I started to get that rush of that feeling all over again. I went from feeling completely fine to headache, nauseousness, my body felt weak, I was shaky, I mean, the worst, I felt like shit, and I peeped around the corner and that old man was in there again, so I was just like, something's not right about that man. To be honest, I don't even know if he was even a human, because I don't know if anybody else saw him. Now at this time we did have a preacher and his sons used to come in to work very often, and they wouldn't even really buy nothing. They would just sit in there and they'd pray for people and leave prayer cards. And I remember talking to them about it and asking them about it, and he said that just to stay prayed up, pray for protection, and that to remember that there are, dark souls in this world, and that's just something we need to protect ourselves from and to always stay in the light. So, I can't say that I really came across that type of feeling around somebody. I mean, from that point forward. Now, I have been around people where I have, it's crazy because how some people say I can sense the bullshit from a mile away. Well, that somebody said that saying started because that is legit possible. There's been situations where I can feel somebody coming near me or in my environment or in my area, that I feel it before they even show up. And for the longest time, I just tried to shove it off like it wasn't nothing, like it was my nerves that were, acting up or something or whatever. But, I noticed that it was happening a little too often, not with people just I know, but just with people in general. It's almost as if I'm walking up into a place or coming or walking towards somebody. I can pick up almost kind of the vibe of where the conversation's about to go. Or I can feel the vibe of the person that is with the person that I'm talking to. I can sense that from somebody I'm not even talking to again. So, it's crazy because nowadays everybody wants to put a label on like what people are doing with their lives or how they carry on about themselves. And I think a lot of unawakened people who haven't had these spiritual epiphanies or have looked within their purpose or who they're supposed to be, or really figured out themselves or accepted certain situations in life, and like have I can also feel when somebody I've never even met has ill intentions towards me. I get many dreams and visual messages that come to me. I pray on them, or I research them to know what it is that I've done seen or that I'm experiencing. And then I just kind of put two and two together. Now, so there's been times where I've actually like reached out to family or my friends and let them know like, hey, I think maybe you should be cautious about this, or maybe you should just be careful with this situation and whatnot. And like, unfortunately, because I wasn't very honest about why I was feeling that way or where I was getting these messages, nobody really took me seriously. And unfortunately, some of those people had to go through like their own suffering ordeals because they didn't really pay attention to what I was talking about. Now, it became a struggle and a challenge for me, because here it is, I'm feeling the urge to sit here and tell somebody like, hey, you need to be careful. Excuse me. Hey, you need to be careful of, of your surroundings, or you need to be careful and cautious of this person, or you need to, do the, it's not like I'm trying to tell people what to do. I am telling people to be observant, to keep their eyes, ears, and their mind open at all times, because there's sometimes you just don't see things or feel things the way others can. And I'm the type of person where I always want the good for everybody. So the least I can do is just say, hey, be careful of this. It's not saying that I don't trust your better judgment. It's just me being just who I am, and, with my caring soul, to tell you, hey, just be extra cautious. And, yeah. So up until this moment, like, I didn't really come clean about where I was getting these messages. And, so yeah, that's why I kind of laugh at, the people who I've never met before who wish me ill and, talk about me or send negative energies my way. And I know some people can vouch for me when I say, you can go ahead and let that person know I feel it all, and they can go ahead and just keep it to themselves, because I'm not the one. Like, my heart is so big and I care about everybody, and I'm human too, and I have emotions, and I have a heart. And to think that somebody who has never even met me and don't even know me can wish such ill towards me breaks my heart, especially whenever like my loved ones are involved. Y'all, the distractions are real for this video. Got some animal crackers. Why do they call them crackers when they're cookies? You ever thought about that? I know. Why did I start the video, right? So, even though I just recently discovered that I was able to hear my grandfather speak from the spirit world, I have been, the thing about it is, when I heard him, it was completely different than compared to what I normally hear. Like, it sounded like, it was on a speakerphone, like in my environment, like external of me. Now, any other time that I've ever gotten messages from, God or spirit, it's normally internal. So that's why it was completely different and it threw me off. But so a couple years ago, right before I got pregnant with my daughter, I was experiencing real bad heart palpitations. And during these heart palpitations, it's not like I was going through anything particular during those moments, but I would get these heart palpitations, and then I would get like this internal like voice, whoever it was that was in my head. And it was weird. It wasn't myself. It was more or less like a you know, a knock at my heart saying, can you help me, please? And here I was sitting here washing dishes one day, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay, it's calm down, you know, you'll be all right. And then that was it. Now, you can call me crazy, that's all right, but that it's not like it occurs often. It was more or less like I allowed it and I accepted it. And I actually spoke to a couple of friends of mine about it, and they were like, stop doing that, because the problem is because I didn't understand what it was I was experiencing, and I also didn't have the confidence within myself of knowing that I have the gift of connection. And it was possible that I could have been allowing spirits in my mind that didn't need to be there. You know, for an example, you think about children, they see angels and things that we can't see as adults, you know, and it's because they're at their most pure and weak, vulnerable state. Now, being in that state, it's easy for, say for instance, a demon or a dark spirit to attach itself to this youth, because it doesn't know any better and it don't know any different. So that's kind of where my friends were going with that, was the fact that I was pure and innocent within my own gift. Like, I'm in the beginning stages of it. Therefore, like, they suggested that I didn't ask questions and that I didn't open up conversation and that I stopped allowing conversation to come in. And so when I heard this and they told me that, I completely just shut it off and I didn't do anything with it. I didn't hear those, you know, I didn't hear those conversations come in no more. I didn't get the palpitations anymore. And my friend did tell me, though, she said, when you have a gift from God, though, it can be very challenging and you don't understand it. And sometimes you don't want it and you'll shove it to the side. But eventually he's going to bring that gift back to the forefront and you're going to have to deal with it. And that's kind of what happened with me. You know, like, I think for maybe like 2 years, I pushed it to the side, didn't think nothing of it, didn't do nothing of it. I was going through my own life. And then all of a sudden, you know, I started getting these messages visually, and you know, and these, you know, urges to reach out to people, and just not just for people in general. It's not like they were coming in like full force. It was more or less like messages for myself too. And you know, and it's crazy because like I've said before, I can normally sense when something's good and when something's bad. So I've never really had any ill, you know, feelings about any type of like spiritual beings that may be around me. And actually, there was one time where I was standing outside, and I think this was like around the time I started to get those palpitations. And I was standing outside one time, at the time I was smoking cigarettes, and I don't know what I was thinking or what I was doing, but all of a sudden I got like this rush of like somebody or something was like right beside me. And my heart started racing, and I started like getting like really shaky and stuff. So I ran inside really quick. I mean, it's possible. I mean, like, spirits are all around us, okay? Angels, ghosts, spirits, all of that. Okay. So when I started watching tarot, I started to be curious, you know, with like, if I was able to do something like that. Now, I've never bought tarot cards, but I ended up taking like an old deck of cards and some index cards, and I ended up creating my own. You know, and a lot of tarot readers, they build a relationship with their cards. They, you know, it's how they view the messages. It's not about like what everybody else sees. It's how they build, you know, the visuals of what they see or how they feel or what they hear. So, I created my own tarot cards, and I started to, just kind of messing with a couple of readings, did a little few here and there, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Well, then, so I thought that maybe I could, pursue that type of like, passion, because I started to enjoy it. Like, I liked watching it. So, I'm like, why not? Why can't I just sit here and, do it for fun? So I actually created a channel. I'll actually add that link down below. If you all are interested, y'all can go to that channel and check it out. But I mean, I haven't posted a whole lot. It's not up and popping or nothing. There's some videos, zodiac videos, and then some like full moon videos. Now, the only reason why I even made the channel and continued making videos is because I come across people in my life who would tell me the things that they were going through, and like they matched up with the videos, and I thought that was so crazy. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, again, confirmation that, I have legit kind of coming close to mastering this ability of mine. And yeah, so if any of you all are interested, I'll add that link down below, and you all can go and watch the videos for fun or whatever if you're interested. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, and it's all right. It's just I don't really post that much, because in order to do stuff like that, you got to have a clear sense of mind and space, and I don't always do that, knowing I have 3 children that are constantly in my area. Like, I've been distracted making this video probably about 4 times with my baby. So yeah, it's hard to like do tarot readings with something like that. But if I feel the urge to do them, I do make videos and I post them. I just haven't, because it's just not been the thing to do on my mind lately. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Except, just like I said, just recently I was able to connect with my grandfather, which was a very beautiful, awake, and like eye-opening thing, because I would have never thought that I would have had that opportunity to speak to a loved one. Like, I'm looking forward to be able to expand that ability. Are these things scary for me? No. I feel like, like I said, I've always felt like I was supposed to do something in this world, and if I'm supposed to relate messages, like, so I started making these vlogs, trying to heal my self-love for myself, thinking and hoping that I could help the next person out there. And, I noticed I was doing that. I had a lot of people coming to me talking about how inspired they were, and it gave me reasons to keep on opening up about my, my traumas and experiences that I've been through. But then I started wondering how it would affect or help people if I started talking about the things that I normally didn't talk about. I was scared and I was afraid of being able to open up about my connection with spirit and my belief systems and all of that. But I'm like, I got to this point to where I just no longer gave a fuck. I really didn't. And, because this is me, and I'm the only one living my life, and you're the only one living your life, and you got to go through some things to understand that it doesn't matter what you do, right or wrong. There's always going to be people out there who either don't like you, don't accept you, don't agree with what you're doing, or you can have a handful of people who look up to you, admire you, and are pushing and pulling for you. So, it goes it goes hand in hand. I am not the one to sit here and tell you to go searching for something that doesn't feel right for you. Okay? I would have never expected to be where I'm at, and I only can hope that it only goes up from here. I've been through some very hard times in my life, and I've been through some very great times in my life. But I promise you one thing, that what is meant for you, it'll find you, and it'll happen whether or not you want it to or not. Okay, you can only push against the divine and against spirit for so long before they make it known that you have to deal with it. You have to learn these abilities. You have to fulfill your purpose. Like, God will push you so hard. He will push you past your limits, knowing that you will push through them. So let me reword that. God will push you past your limits, knowing that you will have the strength and the courage to fulfill whatever it is he's trying to teach you. Getting to this point where I'm at now has brought a sense of like don't get it twisted. At any given time, I can pop off on somebody if I wanted to. That is a want. It's no longer like I accidentally did. I know the difference between a choice now. I can either choose to go about this in a mature, responsible, civil-headed way, or I can be immature and go back to the ungrowing Starla that was lost in life. You know, like, probably won't add that either, but whatever. Oh, I feel like I'm probably going to be editing so much. If I could just... I think this video is difficult to make because it's not something I've wanted to share or talk about, because I used to. I give a fuck about what people think. I don't anymore. Like I've said before, anybody who's for you will understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. And it's not always going to be easy. But I know that my heart has always been in the right place. And I can only hope that this video will allow people to see the possibilities within themselves. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'll probably end up doing like a weekend thing now. This is kind of like how my videos have been coming out almost every weekend. So we'll talk to y'all soon. See what this next video is going to be about. I don't know.